We just wrapped up number 3 in the prospect pool, Zeev Buium. We've got 2 left here, and at the end of the day, everyone's thrilled about both these players, but
yeah,
the order, I guess, has to be laid out. So, number 2, we have Danila Yurov. And, oh my goodness, is he a fucking specimen. Pretty much consensus across the board, except Isha, who claims that he prioritizes professional experience, but puts Danila Yurov at 5. I don't quite understand it.
It's because I gave Height 4. It's because I gave Height 4. That's why.
Okay, it's fair.
You gave Height 4. He has no pro experience. Got it.
I have already admitted I gave him a little WHL bump.
Oh man,
dude, Danila Yurov would be in the NHL this year if there was room for him. Unfortunately, there isn't, so he's going to play one more year pro.
Didn't he want the bonuses or whatever that he was never going to get because he's not going to have? Like, that wasn't
correct. That's part of it too. I think there's a lot to be excited about. I mean, this is a guy, fingers crossed, as all goes well with keeping Kaprizov here. That should be centering Kirill Kaprizov for however much longer Kaprizov is here. Playmaker, but also, you know, like Riley Height, still has that ability to score. I think the fact that this year he made a transition to center and succeeded is incredibly exciting for the organization, despite what it may or may not mean for the future of Marco Rossi, but we're not going to get into that today. We're going to keep things positive. You know, I just think he's a guy to be excited for. There's a ton of skill there. He's a guy that, you know, if Russia hadn't attacked Ukraine in his draft year, probably would have gone a lot higher. But just the geopolitical factors scared teams off him, and the Wild said, fuck it, we ball. We have an extra pick, so we're going to take the upside, and it looks like it's going to pay off in droves for them.
To be clear, everyone, Brett supports Russia invading Ukraine.
No, that's not at all what I said. That's how political reporting goes, though.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's how it goes.
Well, that was fun.
I don't even think we're allowed to talk about that.
And that's
YouTube,
why he's 3 and he put Buium 2. Ah, fuck.
No, so I just think there's a ton to be excited for, and you know, I think he's a guy that you can probably pencil into, you know, the 1 or 2C not this coming season, but next season.
And I mean, I think he just. Oh, sorry, Justin. No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say he just had the best age 20 in KHL history. Led his team in points, led him to a Gagarin Cup. Team's best player.
Do you want to say that again?
What's that?
That he led his team in points.
Led his team in points. Gagarin Cup.
I thought you were talking about the cup.
and then a championship.
Yes, and after we bagged last year.
Is he 20 yet? I don't even know if he's 20.
Yeah, he's 20. He's 20.
He just turned 20. Yeah. That's insane to do that in a pro league, to lead your team to a championship in scoring, like bonkers.
Yes. After we begged them to give him more minutes last year, which it is the KHL, but I mean, incredible. I want to
send him down to the MHL this year because he's on his last year of his deal.
Maybe. I also want to thank LA for giving us Brock Faber and giving us the pick to take Liam Öhgren to also take a swing on our pick with Yurov. So
how crazy is that?
I think Yurov would have been their pick if they didn't have the other.
He was my crush in that draft. I'm pretty sure.
Off the record,
he was our number 1. I think
that'll be my first question to Judd Brackett when we go back to his restaurant: is who would you have taken if you didn't have that pick?
I think they basically said, like, there's the video that the Wild released where it's like, we think Yurov is going to fall, but we don't think Öhgren is, so we're going to take Öhgren and then. I'm pretty sure they say that on camera and it's published, but I could be wrong.
I saw that too.
That's right.
Because was that the Snuggerud draft too? Because I think
it was Snuggerud, yeah. Because Snuggerud was also on their list.
Yeah, I think they had Snuggerud above Öhgren, and then Snuggerud got picked.
Wait, they had Snuggerud above Öhgren? Why wouldn't they have taken Snuggerud in that spot instead of Öhgren then?
Or maybe it was above. I don't know. They also were looking at Snuggerud. I don't remember the context of it. But
I wish that he was here and not in St. Louis, because that's going to make me real sad. Him and Rick Dvorsky are going to torch. Yeah, sorry, inside joke for people that don't know.
It's like Stankoven in Dallas. It's painful to have draft crushes play for the rivals, but it's okay.
Maybe Bankier will lead him here when he's a free agent.
We can dream. We can dream.
Yep.
Yeah.
Zeke, go.
Yeah, I mean, I think this guy, when I watch him play, watch highlights, it just seems like he's kind of got that like almost like electric step to his skating and to his skill. That's just super exciting. And I think just listening to the way that you hear people from the Wild talk about it, it really seems like this is another guy who is the potential like star in their system, not just like a night. He's going to be a second line guy, which he might still be, but the fact that they have, he's another potential star that they got at 24 or whatever it was is pretty awesome. And like Brett was saying, if he comes in next year right away, and assuming everything goes decent this year and they don't, things are looking okay and can slot in with Kaprizov. I mean, obviously it wasn't an accident that they, Wild began drafting Russians kind of higher than draft like this. So it's just, just hopefully should be a perfect fit, assuming they can get him over here next year.
Yeah, I went back and forth on him and Buium at 2 and 3. Ultimately, I went with like betting on Yurov hitting on the upside. Partly because like it's super hard to hit Buium's potential upside as a defenseman. Like that is unbelievably rare. I still kept Buium at 3, obviously, because like even if he doesn't hit his absolute upside, his floor is still unbelievably high, where he's going to give you some secondary offense and be a more than reliable defensive defenseman as well. But the thing that really put Yurov over the edge is the fact that he played so much center this year. The plan is for him next year in Russia to play a lot of center again. Whether or not he plays center in the NHL, still up in the air. It's probably still more likely that he ends up as a winger. But the fact that he's able to play both is a big plus. But the thing with him is, even when he does play wing, that's a play driver. Like in his draft year, that was a big question mark, was like, hey, can he drive offense for more than just himself? Because he's very good at that. He can create scoring chances on his own for him. But this past year, we saw versatile offensive skill set where not only was he setting himself up, but he was also like setting up his teammates and driving offense that way. And like, I think the biggest thing though was the fact that not just last year after he got drafted, but his actual draft year, he got the full KHL treatment. Like Brett, you mentioned the fact that like the Russia-Ukraine thing knocked down a peg, which is definitely true. But I think another level of the reason he went not top 10 was still the fact that like he got the full KHL treatment where I was like, yeah, you are 18. You're going to come sit on the bench and watch KHL games. We'll let you play like 15 U20 games.
How many comments did you see where people are like, oh, he had like 4 points this year in the KHL. What a loser. And you're
in
just
like 4 minutes played.
I got ahead of that. Every time I said something nice about Yurov, I would tweet his full game log in the KHL, where it was like 40 games played, a total of a minute and a half ice time. And it was still like 25 shots on net. I was like, dude, how the fuck do you do that?
The YouTube comments that I sifted through, oh my God, dude.
Yeah. But the fact that like he not only had the Russia-Ukraine thing, which knocked down every Russian that year specifically, but the fact that he barely played pro hockey or any hockey really in his draft year, when coming into his draft year, he was looked at top 8 easy, like no lower than 8. Given the fact that he was a dual threat offensively, he played a lot of center, played a lot of wing. But he is absolutely projectable to be a top 6 forward that's going to put up legit offense, dual threat offensively. And he is a phenomenal defensive forward as well. That's the other thing. Like another guy that has super high offensive upside, but top defensive game as well. So even his B game still projects to be top 6. So the fact that he did what he did this past year is insane, given the fact that he barely played actual hockey for 2 fucking years in 2 of the most important development years in your hockey career. He comes in, finally gets his chance, and immediately takes off was just under a point per game. It's insane. So that's why the fact that he did that in the KHL, I put him over Buium. If Buium does what he did last year again, it's going to be an even closer call, and we'll see how this year goes for Metalurg. They're going to be fucking nasty again. So I think we can probably expect more of the same from him this year. But just given the fact that Yurov did that in the KHL, which is a top 3 league in the world at this point still, gave him the boost for me over Buium, paired with the fact that, like, hitting as a defenseman with Buium's profile is, like, there's probably 10 guys in the league that do that, but Buium's right around that skill set anyway. So I went back and forth with those two at 2 and 3. Either way, the fact that they're both in the Minnesota Wild prospect pool is just
It rocks.
delicious. So I love it.
Did you say delicious?
Delicious.
Okay.
Delicious. I'm salivating.
That's almost as weird as Isha saying that these guys are outside the top 5, but okay.
Oh my God.
Delicious. Salivating.
Well, hold on. Let's get to this next one then, the final one here. And
who's number 1?
I want to hear why Hoppy hates this number 1.
Danila Yurov.